Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Corsace Closed Grand Finals pre-show. In just an hour's time, we're going to be kicking things off with Emrec versus Enri, followed directly by Malachevsky versus the winner of this Losers Bracket Finals match. But we wanted to give you some context as to where these players came from and how they got to the Grand Finals in this tournament. I'm Dio, and joined by me are Shiba and Miles. However, before that, wait 1 second. We're going to talk about the giveaway because that's very quick. Type secretary in chat for the giveaway. It is for Twitch viewers only. If you are on YouTube, sorry, get on Twitch. Keyword is secretary during the two grand finals matches. So not now. I baited you for chat interaction. During the two grand finals matches, during either losers bracket finals or grand finals, you can type secretary in chat, and one winner will be picked during each stream for each of those matches. You'll be getting a free secretary keychain. These are also going to be on sale apparently at Anime North in a couple weeks' time. So if you are going to Anime North and you're not able to win the giveaway, you can pick one up there for yourself. And with that out of the way, Shiba, Miles, good morning. Or I guess good afternoon, Shiba. Good morning, Miles.
Hello.
Good morning.
So just to quickly get things rolling here, these three players I don't think need too much of an introduction. I feel like a lot of people expected Emrec Malachevsky to be in grand finals from the start of this tournament. Malachevsky currently in contention for tournament GOAT. I think a lot of people are really interested to see how his show match versus Vaxe goes in 1 week. In next weekend, actually. It's in a week. That is in 1 week.
That's so quick.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think a lot of people are interested to see exactly how that goes. Emrec, of course, the best player that the game has ever seen, just straight up in terms of raw skill cap and ability to play the game at the highest level. He is the best player that the game has ever seen. And then Enri is also here. And Enri, I think, not necessarily a huge surprise, but someone who had a really interesting run to get here. And before this has only really had, I think, a few really huge standout tournament performances in the Perennial and Corsace Open previously. So I think someone who has really come into his own during this tournament. We're going to talk about him first. So let's dive into that, Miles, if you want to get us started with Enri.
All right, yeah, so Enri obviously going to be making it the top three after having not really the best start in Corsace Closed 2023. He fell in the round of 16 to Ciccone in what ended up being a pretty one-sided affair, winning that match 6-3. Yeah, Enri winning only 3 points in that matchup, and then proceeding to lose 6 points in the next 3 matchups combined. He really went absolutely berserk after this round of 16 match, but he just looked a little bit flat in comparison to what we saw from him later on in the tournament. But still, it ended up being the start of what was his really insane run to top 3, taking the longest possible path to grand finals, going through losers round 1 all the way to grand finals is probably the most impressive way you could play Corsace Closed, if I'm going to be honest.
It definitely is. He had an absolutely ridiculous run. First 6-0 in Crystal, and then in semifinals, I think, is where he grabbed a lot of people's attention. He had the second highest average score to only Malachevsky, and that was by less than 6,000 points across all maps played. He played 16 maps and averaged 635k. The next highest, aside from those two on the semifinals pool, was Emrec at just under 500k average score. So this guy was absolutely destroying in ways that a lot of people, I think, were not expecting. There were a couple of maps where his actual placement on the map ended up not really being quite as competitive, specifically on the Hard Rock picks, on Hard Rock 2, Hard Rock 3. But aside from those maps, he had such a ridiculously good weekend. Number 2 on DT1, DT2, and DT3. Second to 3 different players, I might add, to Suwagi, Ciccone, and Malachevsky in that order. Number 2 on Nomad 1 as well, second again only to Suwagi. And then number 1 on Nomad 2, Nomad 4, Nomad 5, and Hidden 2. And I feel like the only reason he wasn't number 1 on that No Mod 6 is because he did not play it, although Emrec's score on that is something to behold from that weekend. This guy really turned it on in semifinals, and that kind of continued into the finals as well, where, again, he went, I think, 6-2, 6-3 in the finals or something like that, or 6-2, 6-2. So this was an Enri who was really just mad about not being able to make it into the winners bracket afterwards. And if you look at his finals matches as well, Sheba, I don't know if you want to talk about his finals matches here, or I will continue, but I figure you want to talk about those.
His finals matches, I believe, were between, it was Krilla and then Takedo. Yeah. 7-2 Krilla for Enri, 7-2 against Krilla, and 7-3 against Takedo. This guy just continued his momentum, like, big time from the semifinals map. Consistently just outclassing both of these players in multiple aspects. And I think it's safe to say, man, his momentum just swung further and further and further, beating Krilla on so many maps. I think the only map that he kind of was just a little bit on the struggling side on was probably the Hard Rock against Krilla. But aside from that, I mean, he beat Krilla on Hard Rock 4, which was insanely clutch there, because, you know, you don't really know Krilla too well, Enri too well for the Hard Rock performances. You kind of do know more for the high mechanics double time, which is something that he's proved on way more in this tournament. It really was, he was always known as Keeg back in the day for being really good on those double time, really good on those mechanics heavy maps. But once he kind of switched into Enri, people started not recognizing him as well for that. And although he kind of made a much bigger name for himself for being a really prominent tech and hidden player, it was really this tournament, I believe, which is what solidified him as a really, really threatening speed player. And this tournament was probably the time where it started. And the finals as well, where his skill cap was really, really pushed, and he fought off players like Takedo and Krilla, who are absolute titans in this scene. And he just did really, really good. Taking several really strong maps against players like Takedo is just unreal.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I'm pretty sure the thing that really surprised me about Enri in this run was exactly how well-rounded he appeared to be. After that first match where he lost to Ciccone, he was really able to win at some point on every single skill set against every single player he came up against. He was able to bring a different map, I guess, to the table every single weekend, and he was able to take breakpoints on a lot of different things, and I think that's really the catalyst of what was able to take him all the way to top 3.
Yeah, I mean, for 1v1 players, you kind of need that well-roundedness, and for Enri, I feel like the only thing he's missing at this point is, like, Hard Rock skill cap, right? I think against better Hard Rock players, you probably don't win that Hard Rock 4 against Takedo, but it is exactly the type of matchup that he needed, and honestly had just kind of ridiculous pop-offs. I mean, not top-scoring maps for nothing on screen right now. You've got the No Mod 2 full combo that came out from Enri. This was an FC on a map where a lot of players were, you know, banking scores like, let's say, 400k or so. The median score on that map was 420,000. So to full combo that map is the only full combo and the highest score by 400k. Zudinator's score on screen here is actually the next best score of the weekend. So he didn't exactly have an easy road. He just made it look easy by how well he was playing throughout the weekend. It was really something else to behold. So I think Enri, you know, despite definitely being the underdog going into grand finals, I think is not someone that you can underestimate. He's proven his skill cap on not just the things that we already know him for and that we already know him to be really strong on, but also on things where, you know, maybe he wasn't necessarily known for this skill set before, like the No Mod 2, or where he wasn't really known for being able to take breakpoints, like on the Hard Rocks. So really looking forward to seeing exactly what he can do on this grand finals pool. It's definitely a bit of a higher skill cap pool than something like the semifinals or finals pool, but still something where I think we're going to see a lot of really good things come out of Enri.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head.
I think with that, we can probably head into the next recap here, which is going to be Emrec's. And Emrec's recap is going to be a little bit shorter, I think, because he did only have the 4 matches so far. Emrec stayed in winner's bracket the entire time that he was in the tournament, starting off from the round of 16 against Crystal, where he did find the, I believe it was 6-1 against Crystal. Honestly, not much to talk about from this match. He had a really solid showing. Crystal got almost 900k on the Nomad 4 first pick, and then Emrec won every map after that. And it was a pop-off score from Crystal. Crystal played very well in that match, but Emrec was just out to show why he was number 2 seed and why he is the best player in the game right now. Not a lot else to be said out of that match, and I feel like you can say a lot of similar things about Emrec's matchup against Ciccone. Ciccone actually had a very close first couple of maps, but then lost, I believe, a couple of maps by extremely close margin. Or no, this was a different match. No, this one was honestly relatively Emrec-sided. Just looking through the match, you have a lot of maps that are very, very heavily in favor of Emrec, and then a couple of wins from Ciccone on the Nomad 2 and on the DT1 first pick. But aside from those two, Emrec, again, just kind of showing dominance in the matchup. So not a lot to talk about with those two. And with that, I'm going to give it over to either of you who want to talk about his semifinals matchup against Kriller, because I think that's more of the same story, but Emrec, not quite the same level of dominance as Enri on the semifinals pool, but still looked extremely good on that pool as well.
Yeah, I think I'll take over this one. Semifinals pool, we've got Emrec versus Kriller up in the winner's bracket. And honestly, it was a 6-2 win for Emrec, but it felt a little bit weird looking at the MP link. When you look at the map set Emrec lost, he lost Nomad 1 and the DT3 to Kriller, getting a B rank on that DT3. Not really something I would expect from Emrec, being objectively the strongest DT player we have ever seen in the game. But otherwise, throughout the semifinals weekend, it was Emrec performing relatively in the middle of the pack, getting a few good scores, like on that Nomad 3, got the 3rd best score of the weekend behind only Malachevsky and White Cat. On the Nomad 4, only losing out to Enri. And then things like that Unreal Nomad 6 score, also definitely worth noting from this weekend for Emrec. But I don't think, as Dio mentioned, I don't think this is really Emrec's strongest match, but he definitely got the job done to make it past Kriller.
Yeah, I think Kriller on top of that had a little bit of an unfortunate performance there overall. I think you would expect quite a few maps that he might have been able to take over on, more on the hidden maps and a few of the normal maps that he could have slipped through with. But generally, Emrec did kind of show a little bit better, as you've already mentioned, not as dominant as a performance compared to Enri in the semifinals, where he was just on a complete tear. But he did pull up some surprising scores. I wasn't expecting Emrec to perform so well on the Nomad 6, for example. Getting 500k on a map like that is kind of insane, and I'm a little bit excited to see if he's going to maybe lean into that in his future matches in the grand finals, because you do have some absurdly reading maps. It might not be as easy by far as these previous matches, but it's a little bit of an exciting prospect to see him do so well on those reading maps. And the double time 4 was a little bit of a strange loss. Definitely expecting him to completely dominate on that. But Kriller was always good on ult, and this Nomad 4, DT4, sorry, was very much ult heavy. So it's I think it's safe to say that Kriller could have done better, but was expecting to get about 500k. But yeah, aside from that, it was really all the Emrec show. Unfortunate things from Kriller. I think Kriller could have had a much bigger chance to maybe come back a little bit more. But aside from that, yeah, Emrec just did really, really good generally.
And with that, I want to talk about finals, because I just ran some stats for finals. I speed ran a couple stat sheets during the show, and Emrec lost the winners finals 7-4. But he actually averaged 560k to Malachevsky's 500k. So The really interesting thing about that matchup is that Emrec actually has significantly higher average score than Malachevsky, but Malachevsky is winning more maps. So the maps that Emrec is winning, he is really, really dominant on, and he is getting incredibly high scores. Let's take a look, for example, at the Hard Rock 1, where he full combos Tome Alegi top diff in match, or at the Hard Rock 2, where again he is top of the leaderboard with 500k on a map where getting above 400k is a challenge in and of itself. Again, looking at stuff like the Double Time 1, where he is number 2 on the map only to Enri with 880k, or DT2, where he's the only full combo that weekend. This guy is really, really strong on the maps where he is the best player, right? This is somebody who can put up absolutely absurd scores. And I think the interesting thing about this finals match and what it reveals about Emrec as a player is, and I think this is something that a lot of us already know, especially if you've been watching the tournament scene, but Emrec is really, really, really good at his specialty and kind of falters when it comes to the things that he is not the best at, right? So I think players like Malachevsky, who are more well-rounded, who don't have quite as high of a skill cap on the specialty picks, are really poised to take advantage of that. And that's what happened in this winner's finals, is Malachevsky is winning picks like the DT4, where he is top scoring, but the score is 500k. He's winning picks like the Hard Rock 4, where Emrec is middle of the pack on that map and winning by, 60k on maps like that. He's winning the Hard Rock 3 in similar fashion, right? And it's not to say that Malachevsky is not good, because obviously he's still putting up really, really strong scores on his specialty as well. Number 2 on both Hidden 2 and Hidden 4 speaks volumes about where exactly he finds his specialties. Bans out from Emrec on the Nomad 6 and Nomad 4 also definitely reveals where, like, Emrec definitely does not want to give him over certain types of maps, but Emrec in particular, very, very, very strong at particular skill sets that suit him as a player. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in the losers bracket finals and grand finals if Emrec makes it past Enri.
Yeah, and you really can see in his matchup against Malachevsky where Emrec kind of just appeared to run out of picks, where obviously he had his strong picks mostly in the DT and Hard Rock pool, but once he picked the Hard Rock 4, which was the break point, that was the turning point of the match, he didn't win another point going after that, which means obviously you have to be a little bit worried for Emrec when it comes to having the amount of picks necessary to win a match against Malachevsky. But I think there's going to be a few more picks if he does manage to get back to that grand finals for him that could be a little bit more well-suited. He lost the Nomad 2 against Malachevsky in finals. It might be a little more favored to him this time in grands. The Nomad 1, probably going to be a little bit more Emrec favored, being the 9-star map that it is. I won't comment on that map further.
Yeah, I mean, the big question with Emrec in this grand finals pool is that is he gonna excel further and further with his skill cap? Because he is far and away the highest skill cap player in this tournament. And when you see the star ratings on this map pool being 9 stars, you do think, wow, Emrec has possibly a way bigger advantage than previously in the final stages. So there's a question. The question is, are we going to see Emrec exploit more maps than he did last pool? Are we going to see maybe the Nomad 1 appearance? Because as you already mentioned, Mars, that was way more Emrec favored now. Last round, we didn't see Emrec pick Nomad 1 at all, which was something that I was a bit questionable about, because I think if he picked Nomad 1 and played that one, he could have easily won it. Malachevsky didn't ban it. He had plenty of options to go into Nomad 1, but he chose to, I believe it was, pick I think it was a Hard Rock 4? Nomad 3, that's it. Yeah, I was thinking, why go for the Nomad 3 when you can go for the Nomad 1 and maybe even up the playing field? That was a bit of a big question mark that I had with it. But aside from that, everyone's kind of made their point here where Emrec absolutely excels on these double time, high mechanics, very aim heavy as well, maps that are heavily in his favor. I think the only map that he kind of faltered on, which could have been more in his favor, is that Nomad 2. But in fairness, in match, he kind of struggled a little bit with the twists and turns and the detail axle of those streams, maybe not practicing enough, maybe not being too adapted to them. That might have been one thing that kind of put him off that Nomad 2. But yeah, I'm expecting Emrec to potentially pop off even harder than he did before. These maps in the pool are absolutely outrageous, but because we know who Emrec is, he's absolutely absurd with his skill caps. And I think this DT2 and the DT1 and the No Mod 1 are really not going to be as difficult for Emrec as it is going to be for other teams. So the big question is, are we going to see him even it out with Malachevsky and the other maps as well if he wins it against Emrec?
I definitely agree with all the mechanics picks. And one thing that I do want to draw attention to a little bit is one of the scores that's been on repeat for Emrec on screen is his score on No Mod 6 in semifinals, Bottoms over Baghdad. He was the only A rank on that map, and he top scored by 350,000 points with 500k. The next best score on that map is from Taquito, and it's 160k. So this guy had... To say a pop-off on the No Mod 5 is an understatement, or on the No Mod 6 is an understatement, right? Like, one of the things that I'm really interested to see is exactly what reading picks are left open by Emrec in either of these matches, because against Enri, you definitely want to ban a reading map. I don't know whether it's going to be this No Mod 6 or the Hidden 2, because Emrec is not a particularly good alt player, but he has shown in semifinals that he can put up absolutely ridiculous scores on the no mod reading picks in this tournament and gap like literally the entire rest of the leaderboard, right? Gap Taquito by more than triple his score, right? He more than tripled Taquito's score on that map. So while I'm not saying that Emrec is like the best reading player in the tournament, because I think that honor does go to Enri, who has had some absolutely absurd reading scores, he is certainly one of the best reading players around still. He is still actually an extremely good reading player when it comes to non-hidden low approach rate. I think on the hidden low approach rate maps in this tournament, he has definitely looked a bit lackluster, has had a lot of trouble with getting high scores on a lot of those maps, but does have the potential, I think, to maybe upset on picks where, you know, the mechanics lend themselves to him just being able to focus in entirely on reading. I think with the tech maps and the more control-focused maps in this pool, Malachevsky and Enri definitely have a big advantage over Emrec, but Emrec has a lot going for him on some of the reading picks in particular. And I want to see what exactly he chooses to leave open from those, because I think that those picks are more contested than they might appear at first glance. And we are actually running out of time a little bit here, so let's move into Malachevsky's run recap real quick. Not a lot of surprises with Malachevsky's run. Won all 4 of his matches. He is the one in winner's bracket for the grand finals right now. Started off with a very strong 6-1 against Mustache. Not a lot to talk about in this match at all. Mustache won 1 point on deleted map as I look at the MP link right now. That's fantastic. Thank you, mappers. But aside from that, Malachevsky is right. They played OWC together. These players know each other really well. Malachevsky had very good picks. Mustache looked good to his credit, but Malachevsky's just better, so he gapped. And would continue to gap throughout the bracket stage, following up with gapping Zudinator and then several other players. Particularly just very, very good scores again on the reading maps. Silver Temple AR6, which was the COE no mod 6. He got 660k to Zudinator's 36k. And then proceeded to win every pick besides Hidden 1 against Zudinator. Full combo DT4, full combo No Mod 2, full combo No Mod 4 that weekend. 1 slider broke No Mod 3. Like, this guy has ridiculously good scores on the early stage maps, and I think if you were actually looking at average scores, he would just be topping the charts on almost everything, because his consistency in tournament is pretty much unrivaled. He's so consistent in tournament play and can just really turn it on whenever he needs to against pretty much anyone. And that does continue into semifinals. Well, we talked earlier about average scores from the semifinals. He did have the highest average score in semifinals across 9 maps played with 640k average score. The next best being Enri at 640 or 635, and then everybody else below 500k. So to gap people by, except for Enri, to gap people by 140k average score is pretty huge. And he had a hell of a weekend. So anybody want to talk about semifinals in particular, or should I just keep going here?
Miles?
Yeah, sure. I'll take over. So Malachevsky in semifinals came up against his toughest opposition up to that point in the tournament in Suwagi. We kind of saw this weird curse with Malachevsky, I think starting in roundtable qualifiers, where people were able to get 2 points against Malachevsky, but they'd never be able to get more. And it was looking like we were going to get that again this tournament. I believe he beat Mastar 6-1, but then lost 2 points against his next opponent, and then everyone was like, oh, is the curse back? But then no, he lost 3 points against Suwagi, and the maps he lost against Suwagi was the DT1, the Nomad 1, and the Hidden 2. So all maps that Malachevsky is typically good at, but also those were maps that just Suwagi performed extremely well on as well. Losing the DT1 to Suwagi by only 20k, it was 743 to 723k, so extremely close, especially for DT multipliers. But other than that, he performed absolutely mental this match, FCing that DT3, and also getting scores like a near FC on the Nomad 3. So just performing unreal on the ult this weekend. But still, it was a really Malachevsky match where Suwagi won his picks, but you really were never in doubt that Malachevsky was going to squeak it out in the end, which he did, taking a few break points, winning the match 6-3, as mentioned earlier, which would segue into his finals match that he had against Emrec, which I believe one of you guys would like to talk about as well.
Just a quick highlight before I let Shiba take over for finals. I know we've already talked about finals a little bit, but just to talk about it from the other side, Malachevsky did top score 4 maps in the semifinals. He actually top scored 2 of the Hard Rocks in semifinals, and the scores themselves on paper don't seem as impressive because they're only 596k and 460k, but those maps are, if that's the top score, those maps are really hard, right? Those were played by 6 players and 8 players in the semifinals, respectively. So it's not for a lack of trying that these players are not full comboing these maps. They're just hard. And then, of course, the full combo on DT3, like you talked about. Malachevsky just had a very good weekend once again in semifinals, and as Shiba is about to talk about, also had a pretty damn good weekend in the finals.
I think with finals, it's very clear that despite Emrec really flexing out his unbelievable skill cap in this finals pool, Malachevsky just kept his head held high, and despite not being able to hotly contest any maps that Emrec is really dominant on, played very consistently and very well on almost every other map. I feel like the only map that was kind of the most notable struggle, I mean, could you really even consider it struggle, was probably on the Hard Rock 1, where he got 11 misses and struggled a little bit to keep up with Emrec on that Space Stream section. It was about the first half where they kept holding on to the FCs, but during those key eyes with the Space Streams and the Guitar Solo section, he just couldn't keep up, and the kind of late game scenario of that Hard Rock 1 was kind of what got him in the end, and where Emrec really capitalized with, of course, the iconic FC that everyone's going to be talking about for quite a while. But generally, it really was just consistently keeping up with Emrec on the majority of the maps, aside from the ones where Emrec just strongly outshine on, and generally just took it. There were a couple maps which was a bit questionable. For example, the Hard Rock 2. Hard Rock 2 is very, very known for being very, very aim intensive, much more jump aim, much more stream aim, something that's a lot more up Emrec's alley. And despite Malachevsky being more than capable of performing well on the Hard Rock 2, I felt like it's safe to say there could have been another map that he could have gone for instead, considering that this map is a lot more Emrec favored. But generally, aside from that, he did really, really good. Outshined Emrec on the Hidden 2, outshined Emrec on the Nomad 2, outshined Emrec on the Hidden, outshined him on most of the Hard Rocks except for Hard Rock 1. Once again, if there's anything that we can consider Malachevsky, is that he is consistent, solidly high skill caps. Of course, maybe not as high as Emrec, but has really got probably the second best skill cap, if not the third best skill cap, maybe behind him, 1 or 2 other players. But he is absolutely consistent, regardless of what level he's at, regardless of where he is. If he puts his mind to it, he's going to absolutely do solid on that. Maybe not excel, but sometimes, most maps he will excel. He is arguably the best tournament player in the world, if not of all time. We have never seen a player this dominant since Vaxei. And that is a huge statement because many people consider Vaxei to be completely undefeatable. And now that we see players like Emrec falter against players like Malachevsky, it's really refreshing to see. And that makes the show match that's coming up in a week or so really exciting. But the big question with the later stage of the grand finals is that will Malachevsky keep up? We know he's got really good skill cap. We know he's more than capable of staying consistent. The question is he going to be able to keep up with Emrec's absolutely absurdly raw high skill cap? He's done it before in finals. The question is he going to keep at the same level in grand finals where the maps are as high as 9 stars? I think that's the big question here. If Emrec is to defeat Emre in the grand finals, of course.
That is kind of the question, right? Is he going to be able to keep up with the super high skill cap? I mean, this guy is, I think he's top 20, if not top 25 in the world right now. So all of these players have really high skill cap, right? It's not like any of these players are, significantly underranked compared to the others here. Yeah, he's top 20 in the world.
Yeah.
Peak rank is top 12 in last October. So this is, he's pretty good at the game. He's pretty good at the game, even counting just solo scores, right? So I think the skill cap is going to be on the pool itself, which is something else entirely and something that can be taken more from previous weekends than from just raw skill cap in and of itself. We've seen how Emrec plays, we've seen how Malachevsky plays, we've seen how Enri plays as well. So let's talk about this matchup. Let's talk about this matchup between Enri and Emrec. Let's talk about momentum real quick, because I think momentum might start to play a big part in this. Enri is on a 5-match win streak right now, actually. And there's not a lot that you can say that can really discount how huge his momentum has been throughout this tournament. I feel like after the semifinals, he just looks untouchable by pretty much anyone. He is looking extremely good on a wide variety of maps, and I feel like his chances in this match are actually very good for beating Emrec in particular. I think momentum is definitely favoring him, and I think that's going to play a huge role in this match.
We're offline, I believe, at the moment. We're just quickly. I think we got a little bit of a crash.
Oh, we are back. Okay.
Are we back? Okay.
I'm still disappeared.
Miles
is still disappeared.
Yeah. Sorry
Miles
about that, ladies and gentlemen. Got a little bit of a small crash that we're currently trying to recover. Dio, I believe you were in the middle of a monologue while we're trying to get
I was in the middle. Anyway, Enri has momentum. It's pretty important going into matches like this. It's good for player confidence. It's helpful for players to be able to if you're winning all of your matches, if you're really confident on your picks, you're going to have an easier time picking into people and being sure of yourself on your picks and just playing to your best potential. So I feel like that's going to be something that really helps out Enri in this matchup, in potentially both of them. How much does that matter, I guess, compared to Emrec's skill cap on this pool and the way that this pool might play for both of these players?
I think the biggest question this matchup is Enri going to be willing to lean into strengths that Emrec is also equal to? We've seen Enri perform so well on tournament speed recently, in this tournament especially, where I think he's made a much bigger name for himself despite always being good on the speed. I don't think he ever had the chance to really flex it out until this tournament. But the big question is, are we going to see him be willing to lean into that speed and pick it into someone like Emrec? Because we know how good he is on speed. It's just a matter of, can he keep up with this pool? Because yes, it's absurd skill cap. Like, that's the big question here, is that is Emri going to take the risk against someone like Emrec, or is he going to try and lean more into things that he's comfortable on? Maybe a few of the easier maps, maybe some of the reading maps, maybe some of the techie hidden maps that are more in his favor. At the very moment, Enri, despite being on a huge rampage, having huge momentum, this map pool is very unforgiving for people who don't have absurdly high skill cap. It's going to be difficult for Enri to hold up consistent scores. The big question is, are we going to see him be willing to lean into those skills, or is he going to try and maybe let Emrec play into his cards and hope that he can get a pick from Emrec that he can take advantage of? Emrec having absurd skill cap, and Emrec, I think it's safe to say that when Emrec puts his mind to something, he can do absolutely anything. And that's another big thing. How hard is Emrec going to be practicing for this? Are there going to be any maps that people aren't expecting him to prepare for? I think both these players are very flexible. I think maybe Enri has a little bit more on the flexible side, but it would be the mechanics that I'm going to be worried about. Because the big question is his skill cap. This pool's nuts. You know, is he going to be able to push ahead against someone like Emrec, whose skill cap is absolutely unmatched? Like, no questions asked. He's absolutely unmatched.
Yeah, and I think because of that, I honestly believe that Enri is going to more try to lean into the gimmick here against Emrec, where obviously Enri gonna want to contest him on the high mechanics, like you said, on the speed. But I think that's something that Emrec is gonna be a little bit less hesitant to pick, I guess. Both these players are good at speed, and I think Emrec, though, gonna try to pick it into Enri if Enri does leave it open. But I think we really saw this against Malachevsky, where Emrec is completely unmatched at his picks. But outside of those picks, you are a lot of the time able to contest him if you're good enough at them. And that's where Malachevsky was really able to take the lead on those flex skill sets. I think those are really the picks that Enri is going to start to rely on in this matchup. Probably some of the gimmickier tech maps, maybe the Hiddens 3 and 4, maybe some of the gimmickier Hard Rocks like 3 and 4 as well. Actually, not Hard Rock 4. Hard Rock 4 is not gimmick this week. What am I talking about? That's Reason.
Yeah, it's literally Galnerius streams for this one. But the big thing that I want to point out is that you mentioned how Enric's flexibility is going to be what could be the catalyst of what may be an opportunity for him to overtake Emrec in the score. But the thing is, we saw this particular pattern with Ristor in the previous match in finals. The big problem is the only map set that Ristor kind of absolutely excelled on. Oh, sorry, the mod set that Ristor kind of abused Emrec on in the late stages, which gave him that win, was the Hard Rock. And although Emrec is really good on these mechanics-heavy Hard Rocks, most of these Hard Rocks are absolutely brutal. You know, Hard Rock 2 and Hard Rock 3 are absolutely ridiculous this tournament. Sakura Trip, Hard Rock 3. I mean, come on. The question is, though, we know Emri isn't too strong on this Hard Rock. So he's going to have a little bit more of a restricted ability here to outshine Emrec on more maps. So that's what I'm a little bit concerned about.
I would actually challenge that. Enri top scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 maps. 8 maps in finals. He top scored 8 of them. There were only, how many maps is this? 19 minus 3 is 16. There were 16 maps played. He top scored 8 of them. He top scored 50% of the pool that was played. So this guy is quite literally, in finals, the best player at half the pool. Malachevsky top scored 3 maps. Emrec top scored 3 maps. Like, I don't think that these... I don't think that this pool is going to be as bad for Enri as things are made out to be right now. Yes, he's not good at Hard Rock, but I don't think that matters all that much when the whole rest of the pool is kind of his oyster, right? Like, the guy's top scoring shit from 8 different skill sets. I don't know what else to say about it, right? The guy's just goated.
Yeah. Maybe.
So
yeah.
I feel like the consistency across multiple skill sets is there for Enri. Okay, maybe he's not going to take the Hard Rock 4 as in the previous week because there's reason. I feel like that's probably more Emrec favored on this pool, and you could look to him to take that one also. But, I mean, there's slot consistency in this pool for the most part, and I think Enri is still going to have a very good time on it. So, final predictions for losers finals so that we have time to talk about grand finals both ways. Miles, want to start us off?
All right, I'll start us off. I'll go. Just Emrec in tiebreaker.
Okay.
And my explanation, my gut. That is what my gut.
Your gut.
says.
Your gut is different today from that in full circle. I think actually.
Yeah, wait, did I say something else in full circle? Okay, maybe I was.
I think you were like 7-4 or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I was probably stirring the pot, but I think it could really go either way. A lot of it will depend on like how the player feels on the pool. I feel like there's not really too definitive of an advantage much anywhere in this pool. Like, obviously we talked about everything there. I still feel like there's enough picks for both of these players to be able to force the TB.
Okay, so Emri has a big Cinderella story coming around, right? He's on a big streak, he's on big momentum, and I've seen him practice, I've talked to him on stream about it, and although I want the Cinderella story to continue, my hopes do align differently with my beliefs. I feel like Enri is going to struggle a little bit more than people think. I feel like Emrec might do better. Although, don't get the wrong idea, I do want Emri to do well on this. I hope that he makes it a close match, and I hope maybe he even clutches out and takes grand finals and pulls the upset. I think it's safe to say that many people here are expecting Emrec to take it, especially from how high the skill cap the pool is. And although I hope Enri takes it, I really, really do. But my genuine prediction, my genuine thoughts, is that I think Emrec's going to take it 7-4, 7-3 maybe. That's my thoughts on it. I just feel like the cap for this map is a little bit too high, and there are going to be so many more maps that Emrec can kind of just edge out on. That's my thought.
I'm gonna be the doubter. I'm gonna say it's Enri, and I think it is, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think it's Enri, and I think it's Enri like 7-1. I'm counting. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. I'm gonna say 7-5. Enri. I think it'll still be close. I think both of these players are really good. I think obviously Emrec's skill cap on this pool is going to be the determining factor for exactly which way this map swings. I think a lot of this match hinges on the double time pool. I think outside the DT pool, I think a lot of things are really predictable. But I think the DT pool is going to be the biggest area of volatility for these two players. Enri and Emrec are both very good speed players, very good DT aim players. Enri outscored Emrec on DT1 last week.
Yeah.
So to do that on a finals pool is no small feat. Emrec, is talked about as the best DT player of all time. If he's getting outscored on DT1, something is seriously wrong, right? Like, that is a major deal if he gets outscored on it here as well. So I'm looking at Enri and thinking, if you can pull off similar scores on the DT1, the DT3 in that DT pool, you probably win this match. I think if you can win either of those against Emrec, you probably win. But I think a lot of it is going to hinge on that, and I think this match could go either way. I think it's a very volatile match, specifically down to the DT pool. But I think that this is much more winnable for Enri than a lot of people expect at first glance, just because of the name value from Emrec, obviously, being, the best player in the world right now. So, yeah, I'm ready to see it. And with that, because we're running out of time, we got 15 minutes till the match starts, let's go on to the grand finals. Malachevsky versus either Emrec or Enri. I feel like a lot of the same things that happened in finals would happen again in grand finals. Obviously, the momentum, if we're talking about Emrec versus Malachevsky, is there for Malachevsky, who has already won a match. You're probably going to see pretty similar picks and bans between these two players. So let's talk about overall strength on the pool for Malachevsky. We've talked about it for Emrec already, how his skill cap is going to be a major determining factor. I think my question is, are there enough mechanics picks in this pool for Emrec's skill cap on mechanics to outweigh the consistency on tournament skill set for Malachevsky? That's my big question for making predictions on this matchup.
And to answer that question, I would say that the general slot realignment for grand finals will probably come to agree with that, as I think the turning point in finals, as I mentioned, was when he was forced to pick that HR4, which was a break point for Malachevsky. I think there's going to be a few better options for him this week. as I mentioned, I really do believe this No Mod 1 is a lot more Emrec favored than the last
Yeah.
week's. And he also got broke on that No Mod 2.
He got broke.
He got
Baby got broke.
Yeah, he got broke on that No Mod 2. This No Mod 2 is a lot more stamina intensive. Definitely would go to favor Emrec a lot more. Something I think is a little more safer in this week. And then obviously I think D1, 2, and 3 are all kind of locks for Emrec in a matchup against Malachevsky this week. As it is to be expected, I think it's definitely a lot more definitive this week, and Malachevsky is going to have his hands full to look for bans here. With that No Mod 5, DT1, DT2, and DT3, all things is guaranteed to put up a good score on. Meanwhile, when it comes to Malachevsky, I think the strong picks are once again going to be really in his classic skill sets. The No Mod 3, No Mod 4, any reading maps left remaining. Probably going to look to him to pick HR's one, or not, maybe not one against Emrec, but definitely HR's. Yeah, definitely HR3. Definitely most of the hidden pool as well. So I think in terms of the map pool, it's a little bit more tilted towards Emrec. Might just be what he really needs to really go over the edge in that matchup where he just narrowly lost, just 7-4. I think just those 1 or 2 picks would make the difference, which is why I think that Emrec might be able to squeak by him this week. Maybe something like 7-5. Maybe at least force the bracket reset. I think he's got a better shot on this pool than last.
Okay, so final prediction, Miles. What are you thinking? If Emrec makes it to grand finals, what's the scoreline looking like?
I will not comment on bracket reset because that's a whole nother crazy box of crazies. I would say 7-5 Emrec probably first set is my guess. I'm a believer. I'm an Emrec believer.
Okay, Shiba.
Okay, so I'm really looking at these maps here, and many of these maps are they're not as mechanics heavy. As you already mentioned, Miles, Malachevsky does have quite a lot of maps that he could go for bans. I feel like the No Mod 5, though, I feel like that's one map that isn't going to be as exploitable for Emrec as others, but I'm definitely 100% expecting DT3 and DT2 banned for Ristal. I think that's the most obvious bans that I'm expecting. Emrec, I think he knows, despite having the potential to do well on these reading, I don't think against players like Malachevsky, and let's just might as well say it while he's here, enri as well, I don't think he wants to take the risk against the reading intensive maps. I think he's going to ban the No Mod 6 and the Hidden 2 and just focus on these strong mechanics, non-reading heavy maps. But a lot of these maps in this pool have a lot of control in them. So my guess is that if Emrec is to outshine enri and advance to the grand finals against Malachevsky, I still think Malachevsky is going to outshine him, especially on the maps that aren't as mechanics heavy and more on the aim control and the finger control. I feel like Ristal will take the majority of those maps. I think Malachevsky will take it probably 7-5. I feel like Emrec has a bit of an opportunity to maybe exploit his skill cap more, but I still think Malachevsky's consistency is going to outshine. There's always a chance that Emrec can take it, but my guess is that Malachevsky's got it in the bag.
I'm thinking... Hold on, let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this match comes down to, like, what the bans are for Malachevsky and how consistently Emrec can convert on mechanics picks. There's No Mod 125. There's Hard Rock 124, so that's 6, and then you have DT 123. So there's theoretically 9 picks that I think Emrec has a good chance at winning. I think Emrec is actually going to be fine on something like the Hard Rock 2, by the way. I think that's the pocket pick for Emrec on this pool. I don't think he wants to pick any of the hiddens. I don't think that's a good move for him. He's obviously not picking the DT4. Malachevsky is just the fucking DT4 goat, excuse the language. But like, he's just ridiculously good at those, right? So yeah, I'm looking at all the mechanics picks and thinking if he can consistently win any 7 of those mechanics picks and the bans are right, I think he can win both times. That said, that's really hard. And Malachevsky's consistency in tournament matches is basically unseen, unmatched. So I feel like it's going to be really hard to do that. I think that this is also a pretty volatile match. I think this comes down to specifically the Hard Rock pool this time, not necessarily. I think Hard Rock and Nomad is where this comes down to. I think it comes down to stuff like the Nomad 1 and the Nomad 2 for Malachevsky. I think those are where he might be able to find the breakpoints, and I think those are going to be left open. So I'm really looking towards Emrec here to be extremely consistent on the DTs, extremely consistent on 3 of the Hard Rocks, and consistent enough on Nomad 1, Nomad 2 to beat Malachevsky twice in a row on those picks, because I think that's what it's gonna have to be if he wants to win this. I think if it goes to tiebreaker, he loses, and I think if he doesn't win Nomad 1, Nomad 2, he loses. So I'm looking at those 2 maps in particular and thinking he needs to win these or he loses the match. And because of that, and because I think Malachevsky is extremely consistent, I'm going to say it's probably like Malachevsky 7-6 in first round. Like, I don't think that Emrec is as good as he is. I don't think his consistency in tournament matches is high enough to guarantee that he wins all 7 of the picks that he needs to win this match. So I'm going to go 7-6 Malachevsky, because I think Emrec will falter on at least one of those picks, 1 or 2 of those picks. I think he will find a miss somewhere that he cannot find, and that's going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I think we've talked about the maps that Emrec has a good potential in, but in those maps that Emrec is strong on, there are quite a few that you could consider to be very dangerous, even if they're in Emrec's territory. Nomad 2, Hard Rock 4, and Hard Rock 2, those 3 maps in particular, despite leading into a strength of Emrec's, is still, in my eyes, very dangerous territory. I think Malachevsky is more than capable of outscoring him on those maps. So those 3, as you mentioned, are very important maps to win. Those are going to be the maps that we're going to be looking out for the most, and those are probably going to be the closer ones that we're going to see in that match if Emrec is to take Enri down.
All right, we only have a couple minutes left, so let's move on to Enri versus Malachevsky. If Enri makes it through, keep in mind, for anybody watching, Losers Finals starts in 7 minutes, and right after that, we're going right into Grand Finals, so we're covering everything here because that's what we got to do. If Enri wins in a Losers Finals, I think we see a very different sort of match. I think we see Malachevsky again avoiding the DT pool outside of that DT4, but I think picking more into the Hard Rock pool, even into the Hard Rock mechanics, especially Hard Rock aim. I think he wants to pick stuff like that into Enri, and avoiding some of the hidden pool, because I think where Enri is going to end up shining is on some of the more gimmicky hidden maps, even compared to Malachevsky, weirdly enough. I think stuff like the Hidden 2 and Nomad 6 are actually Enri's territory in that matchup. Yeah. And I think that stuff like the Hidden 4 is extremely, extremely good for Enri. I'm not going to say Hidden 3 is Enri favored, because I think that's actually a Malachevsky map. But I think the Atheon map in Hidden 4 is an Enri map, and I think a lot of this matchup would then come down to the Nomad pool afterwards. I think Hard Rock is Malachevsky territory for the most part. I think Hidden, at least Hidden 2, Hidden 4 are Enri territory, and I think after that, DT is Enri territory as well, and I think after that it's going to come down to Nomad. But the skill cap for Enri has been there. The high scores for Enri have been there. He top scored 8 maps out of 16 that were played last weekend. So I have an easier time believing that Enri can actually pull off something like the upset in Grand Finals. Weirdly enough, I feel like that's a hot take, but that's my take. So I'm gonna go like 7-5 Enri. I think, again, if it gets to tiebreaker, he probably loses. But I think if he can avoid tiebreaker, he can win this. So that's my take.
Mm-hmm. This is definitely going to be a chaotic match if this happens. I think there's a ton more skill set overlap between these 2 players than when comparing, say, the likes of Malachevsky and Emrec. But having Enri and Malachevsky in a Grand Finals, I think it could be a breakpoint fiesta, but I'll agree with some points of view, Dio. I think that Enri is probably going to go for the high mechanics in this matchup, and Malachevsky probably going to go for the aim. But in terms of pretty much every other skill set, I think it's really difficult to give someone a true edge. I think the match would probably be won in the hidden pool, because that's really, I think, the point where Enri at some point would have to resort to for his picks. But, you know, we've seen in the last year and a half, Malachevsky is just one of the strongest hidden players. Hidden preference mod player, going to be really strong on it. So I'm going to go probably Malachevsky 7-4 in this matchup.
Okay. This is such a tough one for me because I kind of agree with Dio to an extent. I honestly don't know if I would consider Emrec able to beat Malachevsky, but
it's hard to have faith, right? It's hard to have faith against Malachevsky.
It's really hard,
like,
right?
It's too hard.
Because
I realize my take's a hot take, so I'm ready for the Twitter flame or whatever.
My thought is that if Enri can take down Emrec, he is capable of taking down Malachevsky. Because I feel like the big difference here is that matchup with skill sets. That's going to be different because Emrec does excel more on something that Enri also excels on, whereas Malachevsky does not. And so, yeah, I'm considering Enri being able to more abuse on the double times, more abuse on mechanics heavy stuff. But can he outshine Malachevsky? I don't know. It's such a hard choice. If I was to be honest, I think that despite Emri having an insane good Cinderella story and having incredible momentum and great confidence and putting up a great fight, I think Malachevsky will take it very closely. I think it's going to be a 7-6, 7-5, maybe TB situation, maybe a bracket reset situation. But I think overall, I think Malachevsky will be our champion, despite it being a close fight. TLDR, ladies and gentlemen, these matches are going to slap. They're just going to absolutely slap. I'm telling you that for sure.
Yeah, I think regardless of how this ends up, it's going to be a very close set of matches, and I think we've said maybe not everything, but quite a lot of what can be said about these matches. I think we're pretty much ready to get into things. So with just about 2 minutes left before our losers bracket finals is set to start, directly following that again is the grand finals match. So after losers bracket finals, stick around, and once again, if you want to enter the giveaway for a Secretary Son keychain, you can type Secretary during either of the two grand finals matches. There will be one given away at the end of each of the matches. So go ahead and type that in chat during either of those matches, including now. Now also works. And that is it for us for now. So thank you all for watching the pre-show. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break before I pass it back once again to Shiba and to Takani, who will be joining him for the losers bracket finals match. We'll see you in less than 2 minutes for Emrec versus Enri.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Corsace Closed 2023. Over the next few hours, the fate of 3 players, a small collection of a crop of the best players in the world, will be determined. The three of Emrec, Enri, and Malachevsky have worked indescribably hard for this moment. This is much more than a badge. The prestige that comes from a Corsace Closed championship will carry with these players indefinitely. So the stakes are huge. These players are here for a reason. Gone in the past are the 6-0 victories that define the early tournament. The next few matches are going to be some of the most intense, competitive, one-on-one matches in OSU history. My name is Taikani. Joining me today is Sad Shiba, and this is the Losers Bracket Grand Finals between enri and Emrec. The winner of this match will go on to fight Malachevsky in the main event come 16 UTC. The other will be going home. That said, Shiba, how are you doing today?
This is very exciting. I was literally here 2 minutes ago talking about this match, and I am so excited. Enri's on his Cinderella story, Emrec's on his rampage. These players are so strong, so good, and Enri's on his run. He is on the Cinderella story that everyone is so excited to see be fulfilled, but he's got an incredibly huge opponent with him in Emrec. And we are looking at the picks and bans here already, Takani. What do you think of these bans?
I think that absolutely makes sense. There's no huge surprises from both these players. You know, both of them just desperately trying to get rid of stuff. DT3 from Enri, a little worrying just because speed is kind of his jam, but with Emrec's insane mechanics ability, you know, I think it absolutely makes sense for Enri to get rid of something that he feels might be just a little bit contentious.
Yeah, instantly getting rid of the gimmick, not wanting to deal with it at all. He knows how good Enri is on this gimmicky stuff, despite Emrec having more than enough potential to do well on it. It is more than possible. And the Hard Rock 2 and DT3 here, DT3 and Hard Rock 2 bans here from Enri. Again, very unsurprising. Getting rid of the high speed, high BPM mechanics, heavy speed, just getting rid of that. Very fair play. He knows that Emrec is very good on this. And for an All-Star showcase that Emrec participated in, he actually got the FC on this DT3. So Enri has a little bit of insider information to learn from. And we're already going into map number 1, Emrec's pick of Hard Rock 3.
Is it very exciting stuff. Hard Rock 4. This is an insanely long stream map. Reason mapped by Barking Mad Dog. One huge stream consistency. You've got your flow aim and you've got your stream stamina. Everything you can expect. It's 5 minutes and 27 seconds.
This is the longest map in the pool. It is 3 seconds longer than the tiebreaker in this map pool. And that's how you know consistency is a huge factor in this. This is Reason, 1,000 Swords difficulty. We know this map. We've seen it in plenty of Twitter clips and PP farm maps, map compilations and plays and whatnot. This is relentless stream, relentless consistency, and lots of high spacing. This definitely does lean into Emrec's favor here, being naturally gifted on these high stream mechanics, and just generally good on tapping in Hard Rock as well. More of a comfort thing here for Emrec leading into this. And the consistency is also going to be a bit of an issue here for Enri in the long run. You can already see a little bit of acceleration in these streams here. Both of these players still holding on to their combos, looking really good in this first quarter. But it's Emrec who takes that small lead in the accuracy of about 99.2. Whereas Enri is getting up to about 98.7, 98.8, trying to climb up, trying to keep up with Emrec here in the accuracy department. But it's so insanely still here on this combo department. And Emrec does lose a little bit back evening it out, but it's still Emrec's lead.
Yeah, these act drops, you know, for Enri, just consistent enough to keep Emrec in the lead for now. Here we go into the main PI stream section. Now, this is kind of where you expect to see the break start to come out. A little bit of nerves, but both players holding on very nicely. No act drops to speak of, but as we get into the space streams, you know, something could change a little bit. We're starting to see a little bit of act drop from Emrec. We are now at completely even accuracies. But everybody holding on. Enri finds a chain miss right there as I'm saying it.
2 misses on that big space stream, Takani. straight after the Ki as well. Emrec's got lots of room here to extend his lead now. There's no majorly testing patterns coming through, and this map is really, really long. Going past this first start of the map, there's lots of room here for Emrec to just extend his combo, extend his lead, and keep pushing forward. That unfortunate miss from Enri in that final stream, especially with this slow scene coming up, is going to be so punishing. And we're reaching that first halfway mark, and unless Emrec misses on air, he's going to be pushing this lead so far ahead for him.
Yeah, and I doubt we'll see that from a player as consistent as Emrec. Getting a chance to build a huge lead against Enri. Seeing it, there's not that much hard for Emrec to play on. Some streams here and there, they don't mean too much. It's the harder stream of that little bit, and he's just taking it away.
Yeah, we're going into a little bit of a guitar section here with a few more space streams, but Emrec continues to hold on to his combo. Enri has recovered a little bit, going up to about 500 combo very soon. But once again, he's going to have to pray to some higher power for Emrec to break. And even then, I don't know if he's got enough time. There's a big stream session coming through now, a big chance for Emrec to potentially break. Both these players continue to hold. There is no drops from either of these players, Takani. Another space stream, but no breaks. Is there going to be a miss in this next Ki? Emrec going up to about 2200 combo. It's massive here for Emrec. A huge opening start, gaining his score so massively. And both players hit the big guitar solo section. But that is disastrous for Enri. It is Emrec who holds on to the combo going into the last quarter. Look at this, slowly creep up here for Emrec. His score is gaining more and more. And we're going into the famous part of this map. The beautiful choir of this beautiful singer from this song from Canarius.
This is an unreasonable score for Emrec. Absolutely insane as we're approaching the 800k margin. He's still MCing. No space stream has caught him out. His accuracy is looking so good as well. This is absolutely the right pick for Emrec. Still MCing. The following point space streams aren't going to catch him out. They're going to catch Enri out. Enri putting up such a good score as well. But it's nothing compared to this insane Emrec score. We've reached 3,000 combo, Shiba.
What the heck is this from Emrec? He's absolutely destroying on this. And with that, Emrec's 100% guaranteed to have taken the map.
Yeah, misses, but it does not matter.
That's going to be it. Emrec takes the opening pick with a fantastic score on this Hard Rock 4, sorry. Unreal stuff from the #1 player in the world, making a banger of an entry into this match.
I will say, the stream did freeze. Emrec would end up missing at the end, unfortunately. But 961,327 points will absolutely take away this pick. There is no question about it. That is an Emrec point. We're working on getting the stream back up, and there we go. Third client having a little bit of issues. That was not the misses that he actually obtained.
Okay, so let's look at the MP. We're sorry about that little crash there, guys. I don't know what the stream saw or whether the entire stream died or not. I'm going to need a little bit of an update there from production just to make sure I got everything right. But it is Emrec to take this Hard Rock 4. The miss on the scores in front of you are not too entirely accurate. It is, I believe, Emrec to have won this Hard Rock 4 with 961,000 score, 3,054 combo, an unbelievable first map here. Basically FCing the map, 8 missing on the very end on the final stream. And it's now Enri's chance to even out the playing field. But after a score like that, wow, you can't help but think that Emrec is feeling good on this first map.
Absolutely, an 800 PP score on Scorpion 1, you know, like, absolutely insane play from Emrec. And we're seeing Enri is going to go into Hidden 3, the Faust.
This hidden 3 is devious. It is very, very techy, very, very flow aimy, very, very terrifying. It is a 2-minute long, wacky hidden tech with tons of very scary aim control, very scary tech sections as well. But the flow aim especially is very heavily tested in this map, especially in the second KI with lots of aim control and lots of heavy flow aim patterns and overlaps within that section of the map. But Enri leaning into this comfortable hidden skill set, trying to even out the playing field, getting a point back against a map point from Emrec. That was very, very good. So here we go. Mars Piero the Force, first map pick here for Enri.
Enri has shown himself on this tournament through so many flow aim hidden tech maps. This is absolutely his deal. This is something he's so comfortable on, especially against Emrec, who's more of a mechanics player. You know, Enri doesn't want to immediately go into speed. So I do love the flow aim pick from Enri. That said, this will still be very hard fought. Emrec takes an early accuracy advantage. It's going to give him an early lead, but as I say it, a chain miss on the sliders is going to come out and immediately give Enri a combo and accuracy advantage.
Early break here for both of these players here. We're seeing both these players is struggling a little bit on that really heavy flow aim section. A little bit of overlaps, a little bit of weird twists and turns. It's going to lead to a double miss from both players, but it's going to be Emrec that takes the lead in this first half. This map is really, really short, Takani. Only about 2 minutes long, maybe a little bit just under that if I quickly double check it. 2 minutes and 2 seconds long. We're already halfway through, and Emri does have the combo needed, however. Emrec does make the break, and Emri has not traded it until now, but it is again traded by Emrec. The lead is in Emri's favor by about 40,000-50,000. And we got a little bit of a slow section as well to build up a little bit more combo for Enri to maintain his lead for just a little bit longer. But there's still a little bit of room for Emrec to come back here. And on that little giggle stream, little bit of giggle finger control, it does trip up Enri, giving Emrec that small advantage. But accuracy as well is going to be a big deficit here for Emrec, and a trade from both players into this KI is going to be a huge deficit here for Emrec. Enri now has a chance to easily extend this now, and I think it's already won. I don't think there's enough room for Emrec to come back.
Yeah, Enri has done what he needs to do. Some chain misses won't matter as Emrec trades it out immediately. And that is going to be an Enri point. Both players have a point on the board. We are 1-1.
Maybe not as dominant as a performance here for Enri, but in fairness, this map is absolutely brutal, very, very unforgiving, very, very harsh, with lots of scary flow and lots of scary tech that you just do not want to mess with. But Enri with that A rank to Emrec's B rank takes the map and evens out 1-1. It is now Emrec's chance here to bounce back with another pick. Having that Hard Rock 2 and DD3 banned does still have a few options here for Emrec. We've talked about the previous maps that Emrec is more than capable of playing on, the No Mod 1, the No Mod 2, the double time, just full on double time 1, double time 2, double time 4, more than capable of doing well against Enri. Enri, though, is capable on this. This is why this matchup is so dangerous, because despite Emrec more than being known for being probably most regarded as the best double time player in the world and in the tournament scene, Enri is equally very, very threatening. And very, very strong as well. He's been on a big Cinderella story this tournament. His momentum has been absolutely high. His skill cap has really improved throughout this tournament in Corsace Closed. And you've already seen it, especially in the finals pool, where he top scored more maps than both Emrec, Malachevsky, and other finalists almost combined. So it's quite unreal, and Emrec has got a little bit of an early advantage going through, but it's safe to say that Enri is a big threat on this DT2. We already see an early advantage here for Enri by about 100 combo, but not by too much. There's still room for both these players to come back.
Yeah, but the accuracy does play a little part in Enri's early lead as well. Saw he had about a 3% accuracy advantage, though it's starting to even out, as in this KI we're seeing some accuracy drops from Enri, a little bit from Emrec as well, but not as much. Enri still is holding the lead, however, and an Emrec break right there is going to solidify that. If Enri holds on into the slower section, it would mean a lot, but there's a break right there. Still about even as far as combos go. The small combo advantage that Emrec does have doesn't mean too much.
Yeah, that's true. It's not too prominent, but it's still going to be something that's going to slowly give Emrec back his lead if he holds on to this combo, especially building up into the next Ki. Accuracy now getting close to much more even. And we're going into the next Ki here. More long streams, more twists and turns. We're not seeing any breaks just yet in these early stages of this Ki. But going up into the final third, we see a big miss there from Enri. And Emrec is not trading at the moment. His lead is going to switch back into his favor. And Emrec takes the lead and hits that entire Ki. And he's got a little bit of a guitar session now to hold on to a little bit more combo, gain his lead a little bit more. Solid situation here for Emrec. Enri's in a really tough spot.
Absolutely, that chain miss did so much bad for Enri, and you're starting to see the shake come out. And Emrec really not there as far as the aim shake goes. He's not as, visibly nervous as Enri. Enri's continuing to find accuracy drops, sort of digging a little bit more into despair. You're seeing 100s pop up all over the place. And a break right there is going to solidify it. Emrec is just taking it away. He's looking so good in the second half of this map. The first half, maybe not as confident. Unfortunately, finding a miss right there, but Emrec has done all he needs to do. That's 500k, and that's a point.
Beautiful stuff here from Emrec. This is where we see the stamina really tested here. Let's not forget, this DT2 is probably one of the most stamina-intensive DT maps we have seen in the tournament scene for a very long time. Constant, and I mean constant, 240 BPM streams all the time, everywhere, in the TIs. It's just so unforgiving. And although Enri kept up for the first half, it was the second half of the next Ki where it got really rough and Enri just couldn't keep up. And that's why Emrec's skill cap is what's so advantageous in this pool. Enri put up a good fight in the first half, but he couldn't hold on in the second half. And that's why Emrec takes the map. It is Enri's chance now to even it up. What do you think is going to go for Hitskani?
Well, based off of the hidden 3, he could go right back into hidden tech. We could see a hidden 4. Kind of explore his options. Hidden is kind of Enri's pool here, where DT would be the Emrec pool. Hidden is the Enri pool, something he can consistently pick. This is going to be Nomad 4. This is another one of your tech maps, just like Hidden 3. So this one is a lot more focused on crazy slider aim than anything.
Yeah. Hit it right on the head. We know Enri for being really, really strong on the tech. We know him. He's always been a prominent tech player in the tournament scene. Emrec, despite being very capable on tech, I think this is much more into Enri's niche, much more into Enri's comfort. This match generally is ridiculous slider tech. Tons of very scary, high velocity, big slider jumps, always at you. And you really have to have that strong slider reading and slider aim capabilities to do well on this. And that's why tech players who just generally have that comfort on those big sliders excel on maps like this. And that's why we see Enri picking it here as the second pick of the match. It's his chance to even it out. And despite this being probably kind of not as too strong of a weakness for Emrec, I still think this is definitely going to be a much stronger Enri map on paper. He's had some brilliant solo scores. I've had the chance to see it on his stream. He's definitely capable of pulling some great scores on this. Oh, hold on, we're getting a little bit of a panic here. Try and load up the players. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So far going into this Nomad 4, we're seeing both players hold on to a little bit of combo, but it is Emrec who's going to be the first opening drop. There's a little bit of room here for Enri to break, and he does take that loss, does lose the combo that he had over the advantage. He does still have the lead, but very, very minorly, very, very small. The break is shown quite literally only about 137 points difference here for both of these players. Emrec does have the accuracy lead, and so the score flip is going to be in Emrec's favor. But a Chambers on that space stream is going to reset the combo once again. Going into this next PI, there's about half of the map left. And Enri has the combo advantage he needs to potentially overtake. He does take the score lead, but he does break another slider. Both of these players are struggling to hold on to any substantial combo. And you can already see how really unforgiving this map is, despite it being quite particularly in this niche of Enri's. It's a tough map to say the least. Lots of scary sliders, lots of really horrifying slider velocities and speeds. You just have to be ready for this and have some exceptional slider aim and slider reading skills to be able to do well on this map. And both of these players are holding on to this PI. Emrec does drop though, but he still holds on to his lead. Enri's got the trade and there's not going to be much time left. Emrec now has the combo advantage as well as the accuracy. Enri's in a tough situation. Is he going to be able to opportunity to maybe come back? I don't think so. There's not going to be enough time. Emrec takes the break point.
Very, very impressive stuff from Emrec. It looked like it was going to be an enri point for sure. A little bit into it, but Emrec took it away at the end. That is going to do it. Just a 23k point difference. It's going to be a break point for Emrec. So huge early on in the match. I'm sure, this is a little worrying for Enri to lose one of your matches this early. Now Emrec gets going with confidence back into speed. I hear a no-mod 5 pick from Emrec coming out.
Break core, Kakimezenya, Katagiri. This is the no-mod 5 of this pool. This is 260 BPM. Kind of more on the a little bit more mech techy. Very busty speed with a few aimy elements. A little bit more aim heavy than a typical no-mod 5. But still pretty standard in terms of the speed department. You see lots of bursts, lots of skew little streams, low spacing streams that really test your speed and stamina. And that's just where we can see a little bit more of the aim heavy bits here. Not as too aim heavy as other maps that we've seen in this tournament, but still a little bit more of an addition on the aim here. And this is a dangerous pick here for Emrec to go for. I do believe that this is very capable for Emrec to take. I think the number 5 is a bit more dangerous territory to pick into, but regardless, Emrec has gone for it. But so far, it is Enri that takes the early lead.
Yeah, and that lead is going to mean a lot. It's not actually too much of a difference. It's just a small accuracy difference, but, a little bit of confidence, showing that Enri is playing well on the speed. He is feeling good, but he does have to hold on. Emrec, such a scary beast, absolutely has the capability to play insanely well on one of these, and a slider break from Enri. Gonna give Emrec the chance to prove it here. A huge combo advantage, and now an accuracy advantage as well. Gonna give Emrec the chance to take it away.
Oh, it's Emrec that hits those really tough streams. Enri, another miss. He cannot keep up with this section, can't hold on to any substantial combo, and it's Emrec, despite missing, has established a very dominant lead here in the first half. He may drop and the combo has been reset. I still think there's quite a bit of room here for Enri to come back. The accuracy is also very, very close. Emrec only taking it by about 0.5%. But it's still more than capable for Enri to win.
The rest of the map as well. Another break from Emrec, which certainly would be optimal for Enri here, and honestly, with a player at the caliber of Emrec, I doubt that's gonna happen. It's a lot for Enri to come back. He has to play his very best. He has to put up an insane score on this no-mod 5. It's absolutely doable, but this is a terrifying situation to be in.
This is really dangerous territory here for Enri. He's still got the combo, but Emrec is trailing behind him. He is at arm's reach. Enri has got to do it, and using a little bit of silly humor to maybe recover his nerves a bit. No idea why he typed that. Thank you, Enri. Very cool. But still, this is a dangerous situation here. Emrec is very, very close. Very, very, very close with the combo, and very, very close with the accuracy to potentially hold on to this lead, even if Enri holds. We're going to have to pray for a potential break here from Emrec if Enri's going to have to take it. There's not going to be much time. Can Enri overtake in this last few seconds? Emrec refuses to break and drop his lead. And Enri, I don't think has enough time. There's only about 40,000 difference here. Few more speed patterns here to benefit from his advantage, but it's not going to be enough. Emrec takes it despite a valiant effort there from Enri.
Yeah, Enri almost made it back, but unfortunately just did not have the time. He needed another break from Emrec to get there. His accuracy as well, not really working in his favor. That slight 99% accuracy could have done at least something, but it was not enough. It's going to be another Emrec point. We are 4-1. Emrec already halfway there. And Enri breaking out the hidden 4.
If you're Enri right now, you're in a tough spot because you've lost one of your strongest picks here in the no-mod 4, picking it quite early and losing it. It's a really rough spot to be in. You've lost one of the biggest maps in your skill sets. And you've got to hope for this victory here for Enri. Otherwise, it is really, really shoddy and very advantageous here for Emrec. He's still got maps he can exploit, and he's still got maps that he can push as, where Enri is a little bit more restricted, despite more than capable on multiple maps here. This Hard Rock Hidden 4, oh my god, I'm stuttering so much, Takane. This Hidden 4, 2 minutes, and Hidden Cut Stream Bonanza. 198 BPM, basically 200, with tons of cuts and scary patterns that are very, very chain missable, which is a very exciting prospect in this tournament match where we could see a potential flip at any point. And yeah, tons of chain missable patterns, tons of cuts practically everywhere. And there's even a few diesel axle cuts, which could also lead to a chain miss from either of these players. But so far, both players are struggling here to hold on to any substantial combo here, but Emrec holds the lead in accuracy.
Yeah, the chain misses from Emrec, you know, kind of dissipating his early lead a little bit away. He still has the advantage for it now, but Enri is not that far behind. You know, looking really comfortable on this map. You just hold on as he was through those longer streams that Emrec was struggling on a lot. Both these players now kind of evening out. But again, out on the huge cuts right there. Both players holding on. Very impressive stuff, by the way.
It's Enri to hold on with the combo advantage here. Accuracy is very, very close, but still in the favor of Emrec. But the score lead is getting very, very close now, closing in for Enri's favor. That accuracy drop a little bit there from Enri's going to be struggling, but he's not going to be able to hold on to the combo. Once again, Emrec just barely outshines Enri on his own picks. And he takes the Hidden 4, and he's already 5-1 up.
Another break point right there is no doubt one of the most terrifying things ever if you are Enri. You only have one guaranteed pick left. Meanwhile, Emrec is already up 5-1. You know, he can take one more pick at this point. With 2 break points, you are Enri. No, you have to be saying your prayers. You have to be hoping you can find some sort of weakness in Emrec, because Emrec is just looking way too good. And the no mod pick.
Well,
here's the mechanics that Emrec is known for.
This is one of the surefire maps for Emrec. I think that this and Double Time 1 are 2 maps that are so heavily in Emrec's favor. And yeah, you've already talked about it, Takane. If you're an Enri fan right now, or if you're Enri himself, you are in a scary and just really uncertain situation here. You've lost 2 of your own picks, and the next maps that Emrec can pick, he's got 2 maps left to win, and he's got 2 maps that are so certainly in his advantage that you have to really hope you can pull something truly magical here to overtake. And I'm not entirely sure which map is being played here, because despite Nomad 1 being shown on the screen, it is Double Time 1 that has been played in the background. And it does seem to actually be Double Time 1 that was picked here from Emrec and not Nomad 1.
All right, Nomad 1, a little bit of a troll. All right, we are going to go into DT1. Again, this is still fast aim. You know, not too crazy different from Nomad 1, but, you know, a bit of a surprise. It is going to be Enri to find an early break here, giving the combo advantage to Emrec. Accuracies are about even.
Well, as we already mentioned here, this is one of those maps that you really do expect Emrec to perform exceptionally well on. As we've said so many times, he is one of the undisputed kings of Double Time in the tournament scene, and this Double Time 1 being in the Grand Finals pool of Corsace couldn't be more of a skill cap pushing map. And we're going into this Ki here, and we're seeing both these players hold on just a little bit. An early break from Enri's gonna give, at the very, very start, is gonna give Emrec a little bit of a combo advantage going to this first Ki, and Enri does unfortunately drop on that Ki, and it is Emrec to hold on to the combo and see the break. He is in a great spot right now.
Enri, you know, already looking like he's given up on this map, but a strange slider break from Emrec is going to keep it a little bit close, actually. Enri now holds the combo advantage. it's not over for Enri. GG isn't going to mean the end. You can absolutely understand the frustration that came with this, point in the match, but Enri still has the chance to make it back little by little. That score is going to start climbing back soon as we get into this next TI. Enri does have a combo lead. He's going to be able to press it over Emrec. Emrec has to be very, very careful.
Enri's in a good spot to potentially overtake as long as he holds on to this SKI hit, Takani. That small combo advantage here is going to be huge, and the break has been shown. There is a chance. Enri is struggling here on the mental department, though, saying I had fun when he is in the advantage seat here. There is a chance. Enri can still hit this. Don't worry about the mental. He can still hit this stream, and he does. Going into 6ki, there is a chance here for Enri to come back. Another break there from Emrec is going to give a massive advantage here, and the score has been flipped into Enri's favor. And as long as he holds on for the next few seconds, I think Enri can actually take this DT1.
It seemed like Enri had resigned himself. It seemed like he had given up, and Enri actually took a point. Wait, it's not over.
It's not. Whatever Enri is saying, he better start believing in himself now. With a beautiful 757,000 score on this DT1, he has slammed Emrec on what is one of his strongest maps. Beautiful comeback there from Enri. And now is the chance, man. Now is the chance to come back and swing the momentum in his favor. And that map in and of itself has made him a very prominent threat here on the future maps that Emrec could lean into. Of course, that No Mod 1 being one of them. Enri, just what a swing in momentum there. It seemed so good for Emrec in the first half, and then it was just a soaring comeback from Enri. And he is going to bounce with that No Mod 3. This is absurdly aim control heavy.
All right, I like this pick from Enri. We saw him winning on the aim control in Hidden 3 to go right into Nomad 3. He's been looking on really, 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 really good on that fast aim. So Nomad 3, right up his alley. Kuchi Bunkai, custom map by Rai Jodo. Let's get into it here. For Enri, though, this is kind of his last lifeline. This is still his last guaranteed pick. He needs to win one more pick to guarantee himself another pick in this match. He also needs to take Emrec breakpoints to get himself back on his feet to eventually take the match. But Emrec, of course, looking so scary, already at 5 points. It's going to be a very, very long road for Enri, but hopefully that DT1 giving him a little bit of hope, and we are seeing Emrec already find some misses. It's an early combo and accuracy advantage for Enri.
Now let's hold our horses a little bit here, Takani, because there is a lot of time here for a potential comeback. This map is 3 minutes and 53 seconds long, and this is arguably the easiest part of the map. It really does ramp up in difficulty the longer the map runs for. And this is where the consistency is going to really come into play. And this is where the early combo advantage here from Enri is going to really help him here in the long run. What matters here is that how long can Enri hold on to this combo before he takes the miss. Because I highly doubt we're going to be seeing an FC on this map. But what matters here is that are we going to see Enri hold on, or are we going to see him break and see potential comeback from Emrec? It is going to be a break once again from Emrec to even out the playing field here in his combo department. But it won't be for Enri. He's still holding on to 700 combo and still extending his lead further and further.
Now look at this. Enri has over a 100,000 point lead. Emrec is consistently finding breaks. He's not comfortable. Enri is still FCing. As you said, I doubt we're actually going to see an FC on this map. But Enri is looking so good. It's double Emrec's score as Emrec finds another king miss right there. Enri, feeling like he might be cooking.
He's chefing it up right now. He's got the hat. He's got his pans and sauces. He's ready to cook, Takani. 99.55 accuracy on this map. Let's just preface that, because this is absurdly difficult. Yes, the difficulty hasn't spiked up just yet. We're gonna see the fruits of the sheer difficulty on this map. 8.4 stars is number 3 is, might I add. And we're not seeing Enri break. We're just not seeing him drop. He hits that pattern. Emrec breaks once again. He cannot get a combo. And Enri is starting to approach 1,200 combo into this final third of the map. His lead is so astronomically ahead. I don't even think if he breaks now, Emrec is going to be able to come back. But this combo's absurd. 99.23 accuracy.
It's already over, man. Enri has done it. He's put in the work. 500k on this map is absurd.
Oh!
He doesn't care.
He hits it.
Nothing.
He hits all of it.
What
Enri
happened?
is absolutely chefing. He is chefing it up.
What
Chef
happened
Enri.
in the early match, and now he's going absolutely insane. It's 600k now, and he just continues to take it away. What is he doing?
It really was that swing of momentum on the double time one Takani that has swung astronomically back into his favor. He may finally drop, but this performance from Enri is absolutely ridiculous. 700,000 score on a map like this. He finally gets a break and starts chain missing, but so does Emrec. Emrec is far from winning on this map. But what an unbelievable score from Enri. 700,000 on this map is simply absurd. The difficulty doesn't stop from here. We see more jumps, but it's nothing for Enri. He takes down Emrec on this map in absolutely dominant fashion. And what a way to bring back your momentum.
Shiba, I can't lie. I'm feeling a little emotional right now. It looked like Enri had already resigned himself, like he had already given up just one map ago at GG, and it was fun. But just like that, we are back in the game. Enri, 700k on this No Mod 3, an absurd aim control score, 1,560 combo, 97.64% accuracy. Enri going absolutely insane, guaranteeing himself at least that even if Emrec wins the next two maps, Enri still has one pick left. Now, Emrec getting his chance to play a little bit. I am hearing No Mod 2 and seeing No Mod 1. It is going to be a No Mod 2 pick from Emrec.
Now we're once again seeing this No Mod 1 very heavily reserved here for Emrec. As we already talked about, this No Mod 1 is very, very Emrec favored. But this No Mod 2 is next here for Emrec. The I6sis, I think is pronounced, by Raimukun, mapped by Serenade himself, the man, the myth, the legend. This map is 222 BPM and 1 minute and 42 seconds long. Very, very short, but very, very difficult. 9 stars flat. TS4, AR 9.8, and constant stamina-heavy streams, amping up more in the twists and turns and the velocity of the streams the longer this map runs for.
Alright, let's see. It's going to be an early accuracy advantage for Emrec. Both players finding misses, but Enri having found the chain miss is going to mean a lot more. That's giving Emrec such a huge accuracy advantage in this early map. That's going to mean a lot. We're already a quarter of the way through, and Enri finds another chain miss right there. Emrec does not trade.
It's so far looking really, really dominant here for Emrec. A really good dominant early first third here. And Emrec, despite breaking a little bit and struggling, he is getting a little bit of combo back into this next third. But he does miss it once again on a slider. He can't seem to get any combo needed, whereas Emrec is looking extremely dominant. 99.5% accuracy in a map like this is really no slouch. This is 9 stars, guys. Remember that. And again, as we said, this is very difficult. Lots of ramping up streams, lots of difficult constant twists and turns and velocity switches here. It's quite unreal. And we're seeing Enri really struggle on this, going down to about 91.5% accuracy, whereas Emrec is just chefing up a storm, holding on to about 1,000 combo into the final quarter of the map. Are we going to see potentially an FC here, Takani?
No, Emrec unfortunately did miss at the beginning of the map, and a chain miss right there is going to seal it. But a very, very dominant performance to Emrec. Nonetheless, we are officially at match point. Emrec is up 6-3.
Oh, he hits the space stream. Wow, look at him go. He just hit that. He just hit that big circle stream there. And it will be Emrec to take down Enri on this map on the normal 2. 613,000, 1,131 combo. Solid normal 2 performance here from Emrec. And he is now at match point. He is 1 map away from having the chance to take that revenge against Malachevsky in the grand finals. But Enri's still got a chance. His back may be against the wall, but he's still got to pick up his sleeve to maybe bring back the momentum in his favor. What map is that going to be? That's the big question here. We could maybe see a hidden one, but that's a bit of a risky one because it's very much in Emrec's favor with the aim mapping style. What do you think Enri's going to pick into here?
Do you think he troll picks No Mod 1?
No,
Genuine
he
question.
wouldn't.
Emrec
He
has been
wouldn't.
avoiding it this whole time. I'm not saying it's the right pick. I am saying it is a pick. It's absolutely the kind of thing that I can see Enri going for. I hope he doesn't. Like, but I mean,
I feel like
hidden one would be a good idea. Like in just the sense that Enri's good at hidden, but the problem comes in that is mechanics, and that is something that Emrec is going to be super, super good at. And that's really going to be the problem with pretty much any map left in the pool. And it is actually
ain't no way.
going to be a No Mod 1
No
from Emrec.
way. Enri. He's going for it. Wow. This is good. This is exciting. This No Mod 1 is very widely considered by kind of the quite a few people here at Corsace that this is very much an Emrec favored map. Very, very much a map that we could see on paper Emrec doing really, really good on. But Enri is more than capable. I think we've seen him prove it on the double time one previously, taking an incredible breakpoint against Emrec on the DT1 and highlighting our beautiful, gorgeous Secretary Sam in the background. Shout out to the artist that made that possible. But we're going into this No Mod 1 here, back against the wall for Enri. And this is, on paper, a map that you would really consider Emrec to be playing well on this. You would consider this to be the Emrec No Mod 1. High BPM, high mechanics, high spacing patterns, massively for Emrec, constant jumps, 24/7. And so far it is leading to a lead from Emrec by about 100 combo, and also dominating the accuracy front by about 99.5.
Yeah, accuracy doing so much for Emrec. We saw Enri have some tabbing issues at the beginning of the map, you know, finding him some early misses as well as just another miss, a couple combo after just to solidify it. And that advantage solidly in Emrec's favor as we go into the main jump section. Enri finding a slider break right there. That's a bigger combo advantage for Emrec. Taking it away here, the third through the map, and Emrec still SCing.
Emrec is looking so dominant on this No Mod 1 so far. Still maintaining this absurdly high accuracy of 99.6, and Enri just can't get a combo to fight back with. 250 combo now, going into a little bit of a bust slidery section. We're not seeing any slider breaks here from Emrec. And that big slider section does trip up Enri, but it doesn't trip up Emrec. He's looking so good to Carney. He's FCing up to this first half, already excelling Enri in the combo department and the accuracy and the score. Everything is in Emrec's favor right now. By about 150,000 score, Emrec holds on to his lead and his combo. This looks, I think, all but over to Carney. I don't know if there's room for Enri to come back. Emrec may drop, but so does Enri, and he trades it, and there's no chance here. We're seeing more slidery sections here, but can Enri really come back? I don't think so.
I don't think so, unfortunately. I think this might be where Enri's Corsace Closed run ends, but you know, it's a bit of a different mood than the DT1 that we saw prior. A 7-3 victory for Emrec. He's going to seal it off, but you know, I think people can be happy with how Enri played, and a miss right there is going to solidify it. Emrec, you know, just too far gone at this point.
That's definitely it. With that incredible dominance here from Emrec going into this final major jump section, there's no room for Enri to come back. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Cinderella story from our favorite Filipino tournament star has come to an end. Emrec has taken Enri down in this Losers Grand Finals match and secures himself a chance to take revenge against one of the greatest tournament players we've ever seen in Malachevsky in the grand finals.
Congratulations to Emrec for this victory here. It's hard to state just how incredibly difficult a match like this is. Something like this is. And Emrec has done it 7-3 over Enri. Apologies, that screen was wrong. It was not Enri's win, it was Emrec's. Unfortunate for Enri, but a third place run, a seed 7 in the tournament. I don't think you could be mad. Congratulations to Emrec. And in just an hour, he will be playing Malachevsky for the championship title. Corsace Closed 2023. So please stick around. YouTube.com/Corsace, Twitch.tv/Corsace. We will see you back at 16 UTC for Emrec versus Malachevsky, the rematch grand finals.
Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you soon.
I believe we might actually be seeing a showcase.
Oh, wait, are we? For real, for real? Hold up. Don't go, guys. Don't go. Hold up. Stay here.
I could be trolling. I see a new lobby with Kyuko by Katagiri put into it.
Oh. Are we gonna see TV showcase? Maybe not. Maybe so, ladies and gentlemen.
We might get just one final map out of these two amazing players. Hold on just a second.
Now, Emrec may be your winner here, but let's give a huge thanks to Enri because he made this tournament so interesting. Despite having an early defeat against Draconi in the round of 16, just absolutely dominated the competition throughout the rest of the tournament. And having his story end at top 3, I think, is a great omen to see what he's going to do in the future. And I'm so excited. I'm really excited to see what Emrec does, and I'm really, really proud of him. I think he's come quite a long way in this tournament, and he's made himself known to be one of the biggest tournament threats in the scene, being so much more well-rounded and closed. And we are going to be seeing the showcase here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the map that Takani himself, my beautiful casting partner for this match, made this map. I am so happy. This map is so cool. And we're going to see both these players duke it out for funsies in this TB.
Alright, now I do want to say Malachevsky is actually in the lobby. Unfortunately, he isn't shown, but just know that he's there. He's watching. A tiebreaker showcase between these three players is going to be Emrec to find the first break. And, we kind of get to see, sort of a simulated situation. Not exactly the same situation as an actual match, of course, of, what this tiebreaker would look like in match. The difference of comfort, I think, in the early part does kind of show. Enri was looking a little more confident on this TV from the outset. This TV just isn't really Emrec's type of map. Enri not so much as well, but just a little bit better than Emrec in that sense. Should this match have gone to tiebreaker, in my personal opinion, I thought Enri would have won. How about you, Shiba? What are your thoughts?
Me, I honestly have no idea. I think because this map is really absurdly mechanics heavy, but also very tech heavy, I think it both leans to both players' sorts of skill sets. So honestly, to be completely honest with you, I don't really know. I have no idea because of course there are different circumstances that will equate to it. There will be close maps, there will be nerves, there will be fatigue, there will be tired, there will be strained. So there's a lot more. There would be a lot more hanging in the balance for this TB to be played officially. So it's very hard to kind of determine exactly what would happen. But if I was to guess on paper, I think Emrec in the long run would take it through a high combo path. But that's not to say Enri wouldn't pull up a good fight, especially if he's going to be running the hidden. That hidden bonus is going to be really surmountable. So it's safe to say that he's going to be very, very much a big contender on this TB. But I think it's safe to say that Emrec probably does take it purely in terms of the mechanics comfort and being much more adaptable to this high skill count. 100%. The scores are kind of even out now. Enri still has a slight lead
but that's going to go away as he finds a break right there. You know, just to show how close this could have been, you know? Nobody particularly comfortable.
Yeah, and we have to appreciate the players being willing to play this. I think it's quite brave of Emrec to play in a TV showcase when he's got a grand finals to play very soon. So it's very sportsmanlike and very, very cool of him to decide to play this TV showcase. It's always pleasant to see our players get a chance to just have one last hurrah after defeat. And we do see Emrec actually take the lead here in this TV to Connie. Holding on to the combo lead. I think it really is that hidden that's helping him out here, as well as the accuracy buff, just keeping his lead going. Oh, and he hits that.
I am curious how Malachevsky is doing right now. Unfortunately, we can't see it here. You know, quite curious. I personally feel like Malachevsky might be winning. I'm seeing some hints to it. Did you see that break from Emrec and Henry?
I don't know. What happened? I didn't see it.
They both missed the slider kick. On the slider. They both did it. The same slider.
Now, tell me your thoughts on mapping this to Kani. What was your mindset going into it? I'm sure there is one thought going into it where just make this stupid hard. But what was other thoughts going into it? What did you like the most about this
intended
map?
for Grand TV, I will say. So it's kind of changed. Initially, I was just like, I set out to make a semifinals tiebreaker. So 8 stars tech. We had to move the existing final tiebreaker we had down to semifinals. That would end up being Marionette, custom map by Selena. So I moved this up to finals. I was like, yeah, whatever. Buff the difficulty. And then we ran into an issue where we had like 3,000 Katagiri songs at once. Where the grand finals tiebreaker was an existing Katagiri map. So we actually just like said, okay, let's do some work. We found a new tiebreaker for finals, and we're just like, okay, we'll just move Kyuko up to grand finals after it was already half finished. So my mindset was basically just buff the hell out of this map and see where it goes. It eventually reached make the map as hard as possible. But I will say it started just with like make 8-star tech, which is something I'm very familiar with. So this was quite the journey from comfortable to completely uncomfortable for me.
Nice. There you heard it himself. The man who mapped this incredible TV. Thank you, Sakane, for mapping this. But it's been a great fun journey for Enri, and he has done some beautiful stuff in this tournament. So let's give a huge round of applause for Enri for making his Cinderella run so interesting and so fun to watch. And GG's to Emrec, who will be advancing into the grand finals against Malachevsky. And I believe we will be seeing that match in, if anyone can let me know in production, about an hour's time. Is that correct? About an hour's time?
That is correct. 16 UTC will be the point that we see the grand finale of this tournament. It will be today. Don't be mistaken. So many people are used to the Sunday grand finals. It's going to be a Saturday grand finals, and
yeah,
that's gonna be it.
It's going to be very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. This will be me and Takani's, I believe, last match to have cast in this tournament. So thank you very much for watching on my behalf. Thank you very much. It's been a great time, and I hope you enjoy the grand finals. It's been an honor casting, and we'll see you all very, very soon in the grand finals between Emrec and Malachevsky.